Hello friends, welcome to this video lesson. Today we are going to discuss another important topic of your online course. The title of today's discussion is Education as a Key Area of a Public Policy. Before starting our discussion, let me to introduce myself. I, Dr. Niradhar, Associate Professor, School of Education, Indira Gandhi National Open University. Welcome you all to this video lesson. Friends, as you know, presently we are in the third week of your online course. Course title, as you know, that is BES 122 Contemporary Indian Education. And in the third week, you are pursuing presently the third unit or the third module of your online course. And the title of this module is Education and Policies. In this module, three important lessons are there. First lesson is constitutional provision of education in India. What are the different constitutional provisions are there in India, and how the constitutional provisions are related to education. How the constitutional provisions speaks and says about for the educational development of the citizen of this country. So, this is the first lesson from this module. You have already studied, watched this video lesson, and you have also gone through the content. And the second lesson, that is education as a key area of a public policy. We are just going to discuss this lesson in this video, that is education is a key area of public policy. So, how education is a focused area, as an important area for establishing and for preparing for developing public policy. Okay, so that we will be discussing. And the next lesson from this module, that is schemes of education. So, what are the different schemes, what are the different projects, what are the different policies that are being developed for implementing, you can say, constitutional obligations, for implementing constitutional provisions which is related to education. That also we will be discussing further. So, now friends, let us focus upon the second lesson, that is education as a key area of a public policy. Let me to focus upon some of the important learning outcomes from this video lesson. After going through this video and the e-content which is given in the module, particularly in the third module about education and policies, you will be able to justify the need and relevance of education as a key area for framing public policies. Then further you will be able to explain the issues and challenges of implementation of educational policies in India, and you will be able to understand the need of feedbacks and research for policy analysis and planning. So, these are the three important learning outcomes that you will be dealing with, that you will be experiencing relating to the learning outcomes, the content point that you will be experiencing. And I am very much hopeful that after going through this video lesson and the party content from this module, definitely we will be achieving these learning outcomes. Now, let me to focus upon the very need and relevance of education as a key area of public policy. So, when a public policy is developed, so how education works as a key area, or what is the need and relevance of education when we are preparing certain public policy so far as development of education of the country is concerned, so far as providing education to the citizens of the country is concerned. Now, let me to focus upon some of the important aspects, important points about the need and relevance. That is, the development of a country depends upon the public policies what the country has established and implemented. Okay. So, you see, it may be related to education, it may be related to health sector, it may be related to defense, media and other public relations sectors also. So, how we implement the constitutional provisions relating to any aspect, relating to any matter. we implement it through different types of schemes, through different types of policies, through different types of projects. Okay. So, our aim is to implement the constitutional provisions and to provide benefits to the beneficiaries, benefits to the, you can say, the country people who are really need of such type of benefits. So, that is why how to give the benefits, that is why we have to prepare a plan, we have to prepare a certain scheme and we have to implement that scheme. We will be discussing further, taking certain examples just like Right to Education Act and other types of schemes, also other types of act and policies also. Further, education cannot be separated from other sectors of development in the country. It has a direct link with health, social services, defense, media and public relations, trade and industry, etc. Now tell me whether education as a subject, education as a aspect in our constitution, whether it can be conceptualized separately? No, it cannot be conceptualized in a very isolated manner or in a very separate way. Rather, education is somehow linked with, related with the other sector, other areas of the development of this country. That is just like I have already mentioned here, health sector. So, health and education is interlinked with each other. So, when you will be educated, you will be conscious about your health requirements. You will get awareness about your health. So, that is why here health and education is linked with each other. Then social services. Social services is also directly linked with education. The much education you will get when you will be educated and when you will be involve yourself in many educational discourses, you will get more and more knowledge, you will get more understanding and definitely that will help you for involving yourself in many social services and many social beneficiary works. Then defense, education and defense is also related with each other. The development of education directly linked with the development of science and technology, and when science and technology will develop, then definitely all sectors, it may be agriculture, it may be defense, it may be other sectors also simultaneously that will also develop. So, that is why education is directly linked with the defense system also. Then media and public relation. So, how you communicate, how you deal to the public on different issues and how to deal the media also. And by using, you can say when you will be educated, then we can use different media also to get more knowledge, to get more experiences, and media also help us to acquaint ourselves with the developmental concept in different sector globally, locally or nationally. So, that and trade and industry is definitely related with education. When you will get education, when we will get a particular training, a particular type of specified and specialized areas of knowledge, then that will help us in development of trade and industry also. So, that is why you can say these are the key areas of public policy where we need education, where we need that there is the need and relevance of the development of education. And further, educating the people of the country is the duty and responsibility of the government. I will be giving example of right to act, right to Right to Education Act, RT Act 2009, that how it is included in the fundamental you can say right of Indian Constitution, and how it is the responsibility of state now to provide free and compulsory elementary education to all the citizens and to all the children in the age appropriate group in the state. And further, adequate expenditure on education enables to create trained and skilled human power, those can work for the country in different sectors for development of the country. So, these are the certain need and relevance of education as a key area of a public policy. So, when we develop, when we prepare a public policy, we cannot do it by isolating education. So, education is a key area here. And now, let me to focus upon different important area when we implement the educational policies. Just like here, when preparing action plan for implementation of educational policies, so how to prepare a action plan, and further for implementing the public policies, it may be in education and other sector, how political support and financial provisions are also required, and how involvement of different stakeholders in education and other policy making are also required. So these are the three different headings, and further we will be discussing the you can say the important aspects that are included in the preparation for action plan, then political support and financial provisions, as well as how to involve different stakeholders so far as developing public policies and implementing public policies are concerned. Now let me to focus upon preparation of an action plan. So friends, whenever we think over or we start a new work, first of all, we should have very clear about our objective, our purpose, that what we are going to do. Okay, so that's why we require to prepare an action plan. And what are the different things that supposed to be discussed and that supposed to be understood before preparing or before implementing or before preparing a scheme. That's the action plan. So here, preparing action plan for implementing policies of education is the first step for way forwarding to achieve the objectives of the policies. If you are not clear about the objectives, the purpose, and if you have not prepared a proper action plan, then the implementation of the policies, the implementation of the scheme may not go in a proper way. And for the action plan is a strategy to concretize and implement the plan. So just like in research, what you are doing, in research you are preparing a synopsis first, you are preparing a research proposal, and that synopsis will help you to proceed in the research. That synopsis will help you that what you have to do, what are the different work, what are the different activities, what are the different what procedure that you will be following for conducting your study. So that's why action plan is just like a strategy, and it concretizes for implementing the plan, that in future when you will proceed, when you will work on, when you will implement that plan, you will not face any difficulties, because thing has been explained properly that what you have to do at what stage. And further, it defines the role and responsibility of various stakeholders such as the government, local bodies, groups and individuals, and also the beneficiaries. Try to understand. Action plan also clarify that what is the role of different stakeholders, what is the responsibilities of different stakeholders. Just like if I will say about the schooling process, about the schooling system. So who are the stakeholders who involved in the schooling system? I can say that the students are the main stakeholders, they are the beneficiary, teachers are the stakeholder, then government, the local government is also stakeholder, parents are also stakeholder, community members are also stakeholders. So unless we clarify what is the role of the local bodies, what is the role of the parents and the community members, what is the role of the students, what is the role of different social organizations, then we cannot get success in schooling system. So that's why action plan also clarify that what responsibility is given to what stakeholders. When I will discuss Right to Education Act, then clearly I will discuss that what responsibility with the community, with the parents and with the students and with the local government also. It also includes financial provisions at different stages for the implementation of education policies. You see, for implementing the policy, financial provisions should be a part of the action plan, because when we implement, when we create, when we develop certain things, when we implement certain things, then definitely we need certain finance, certain budget, and how much of budget you really require, and what are the different heads of the budget, what are the different sub-heads of the budget. That is also another important aspect, another important part of the action plan. So budgetary provision or that's the financial provision is also one of the important aspect. Next, an example of preparation of action plan. Now let me to focus upon how you will prepare the action plan, what are the different things should be included in the action plan with certain example. For achieving the goal of universalization of elementary education in India, the Right to Education Act came in practice from 1st April 2010. So here the Right to Education Act, for implementing the Right to Education Act, if you go through the documents of RT Act, you will find that a detailed plan is given in the Right to Education Act. A detailed plan is given that what is the responsibility lies with the community member, with the parents, with the teachers, with the local government, as well as with the, you can say, the overall, the planners, the educational administrators who prepare the curriculum and who transact the curriculum. So that's why a detailed action plan and implementation strategy was then prepared to execute the act. And if you go through, you will find that the act has operationally defined different parts and sub-parts of the act and finalized the role and functions of the stakeholders. So what are the role and functions of different stakeholders are there? It also provided the deadline for achieving some of the goal of the act, that by which time, by which period, the goal, or you can say the very aim, will be achieved by a scheme. So that should be reflected in the action plan. And particularly, if I will focus upon the detailed plan of Right to Education Act, it addresses the issues such as ensuring ratio of students and teacher at the classroom. So as per the RT Act, what ratio of teacher and students should be there? Okay. So at the primary stage or at the elementary stage, what should be the ratio? The ratio is defined that it should be 1:30 and 1:35, 1:30 at the primary and 1:35 at the elementary. So here you see, this is the part of the action plan, and now to for implementing this plan, we have to provide such facilities, we have to provide, or we have to develop that resources in the school. We can appoint more teachers, and we have to find out that what is the number of students in a school, then accordingly how many teachers are there. Whether as per the act, as it is a fundamental right now, as per the act, as per the fundamental right, whether the adequate or the defined ratio is getting maintained or not, whether the class is overcrowded, and if the class is overcrowded, then new teachers should be appointed in the school, so that the RTE regulations, the RTE Act recommendations should be achieved. And further, training of the teachers. RTE Act says that quality education will be given to the elementary school students. So for providing quality instruction, quality education, teachers training is one of the very important aspects. Unless the teachers are not trained, they cannot implement the curriculum in a proper way. They cannot provide quality education to the students. So that's why training of the teacher is another important aspect. Then in action plan, it should be mentioned that whether the trainers are properly trained or not, teachers are properly trained or not, and quality educations are imparted or not. Then providing quality education, I have already said, making teaching child friendly. So whether we are implementing the curriculum in a very child friendly manner or not, whether the child or whether the students are getting the benefits of whatever we are doing, whatever teaching learning process is going on in the schools or not. Then further addressing the issues of dropouts in the schools. So how to address the issues of dropouts, how to bring, or how to, you can say, attract the learners, the students to the school campus. If they are not coming, if they are involved in any other activities, any other work, it may be it may be agriculture, it may be other types of world of work. So how to motivate them, how to you can say target them to bring them to the mainstream of the schooling system. So that is also another important aspect, and the strategies should be involved, should be included in the action plan. Then the other important points that can be included in the action plan, just like ensuring participation of the community in the schools. So how you ensure the participation of the community, because they have to prepare the school development plan. One SMC should be there in every school. So whether the members of the SMCs are working properly or not, so that also be a part of action plan. Protecting security and rights of the children, whether the children are getting security or not. In the Right to Education Act, this has been mentioned that NCPCR and SCPCR should be there. National Council of Protection of Child Rights and State Council of Protection of Child Rights should be there as per Right to Education Act, and any issues related to security of the child will be dealt by the SCPCR, or if it is the national level, then NCPCR. So that should also be included in the action plan for proper implementation of any scheme. Here I am just putting example of Right to Education Act. Then making awareness program and training to the stakeholders, whether proper training is providing to the SMC members or not, because the SMC members will further develop the school development plan. That's the SDP, that's called as the SDP, that speaks about that what is the present situation, present status of the school, and what are the new things the school is requiring for its development. Then feedback and reviewing the act at different stages. So time to time for quality, for assuring quality, feedback studies should be taken, whether the scheme is working properly or not, whether the beneficiaries are getting real benefits or not, and what are the different difficulties that are faced in implementing that policy or that act is there, and accordingly you can just modify accordingly. You can say certain modification and certain changes can be made in implementing the scheme and the policies. Then highlighting different aspects of its implementation. So how it is getting implemented and what are the different things yet there is the need to do. And now let me to focus upon the another important aspect that is also somehow related with for proper implementation of the policies, just like political support and financial provision. So unless there is the political support, unless there is the willpower of the government, and unless there is adequate financial allocation, budgetary allocation, no scheme will implement properly or get its success. So that's why political support and financial provision is also another important aspect, and I can say that policies are implemented through the government, and government is formed by a winning party in election so far as a democratic country is concerned. In a democratic country, in a regular interval, it may be in 5 years, elections are taken, and the winning party, they form the government in the democratic system, and the winning party, they have their own vision towards education, they have their own understanding towards education, then accordingly they come forward with new policies, they come forward with new schemes. So here, unless the political parties or unless the ruling government is not having willpower and interest to do certain things, then things will not happen. So that's why political support and financial provision is required for proper implementation of any scheme. It is therefore political support is required for implementation of educational policies for achieving the better result of it. All parties have their own objectives, priorities and manifestos of working, and the nature of development in education and different scheme that depends upon their objectives, their priorities, that in which work they want that it should happen in a rapid, immediately or in a priority basis. So that is also the focus of working of the political parties or the government. Then better result from any educational policy depends upon a positive willpower and support of the government and the political parties. Then financial provision and supports are also equally responsible for better implementation of the educational policies. For example, implementing any educational policy in the country like India, where the population is more than 140 crores and the huge geographical area, large funds are required. So here you see, for implementing Right to Education Act, huge fund is required. For establishing schools in the country, huge fund is required, because we have to achieve the teacher and student ratio. It may be 1:30, and teacher and students ratio it may be 1:35. So for that in the habitation, in the remote areas where there is a village where the people are living, then definitely there should be a school at their neighborhood, at their village. So that's why huge fund is required, and this is not a small country, this is a huge country, the second largest country so far as population is concerned. It is more than 140 crores. So that's why huge budget and huge financing is required. It has been observed that many educational policies suffers from implementation difficulties due to lack of financial support. So financial provision, if there is lack of financial provisions, then no scheme will suffer. But at the same time, many a time money remains unutilized because of lack of coordination of the stakeholders, and hence the work doesn't proceed as per the action plan. So it also happen in a different way. Many a time there is the budgetary allocation, but at the end of the academic session, the financial session, you will find that the adequate fund has not been utilized. So that's why, friend, these are the certain hurdles for implementing the schemes of education. And now let me to focus upon involvement of the stakeholders, that how for better implementation, proper implementation of you can say any scheme, the stakeholders involved in it should be work wholeheartedly. And here, so far as Right to Education Act 2009 is concerned, the stakeholders, as an example, I am just putting an example of Right to Education Act. First of all, the central and state government will prepare the action plan for implementing the act, provide financial support, and monitor the progress, whether it is happening properly at the remote area or not, at the city area or not, and what are the difficulties, and they should take the feedback, then accordingly they should improve it. Then teachers, parents, community members, SMC members are involved to implement the act at the ground level. So whether teachers are doing their work or not, whether parents are involved in the teaching learning process or not, parents are involved in day-to-day school progress or not, and whether they are sending their children to the school or not, and whether they are guiding their children so far as they are learning and other facilities and other you can say curriculum transactional activities which is going on in the school or not. Then community members, so whether community members are wholeheartedly participating for developing the school development plan SDP as a member of SMC. So how community is linked with, community is associated with the school is also another important aspect, and how the local government also working at the ground level. It may be at the panchayat level, whether the local government is going to the school, involving in the SMC and trying to understand the very difficulties, very problems of the school. Then accordingly whether they are helping for solving those problems or not. Then further, SCIT, State Council of Educational Research and Training, then District Institute of Education and Training, etc., organize programs on awareness and implementation strategies of the Right to Education Act. So who will train the SMC members for preparing the school development plan? It is the work of the SCIT, it is the work of the Diet, whether they are doing it or not in a very decentralized way. Then the district educational and general administration, local government like Gram Panchayat, Panchayat Samiti, etc., are also involved to ensure implementation of this act. Students as the main stakeholders, whether they are getting the benefits of it or not, whether they are getting quality elementary education or not. So friends, involvement of stakeholders is also required, is very much important for the success of any scheme, as here we have discussed, taking the example of Right to Education Act 2009. Now another important aspect is research for policy analysis and planning. So whether there is the need of any policy, any research for policy analysis and planning or not. The purpose of conducting research for policy analysis and planning are just like to study the need assessment for planning and formulating policies in education or any other area, to study the provisions of existing policies and their implications to the society, and to compare and analyze the earlier policies existed in the same area and the necessary changes required for new policies, and to study similar types of policies function across the world and their implications to the society. So here friends, try to understand there is the need to do a survey, there is the need to do a monitoring activity, that may be a type of research, and there is the need to do a research whether this scheme is properly functioning or not, and what are the different loopholes are there, then how to solve the difficulties. Then the other purpose of conducting research for policy analysis and planning are just like to study the strength, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. That's called as SWOT analysis, SWOT, SWOT analysis of existing policies. That what is the strength of this policy, what is the weakness of this policy, what is the opportunities and what are the threats. Then accordingly, how to solve the threats, how to you can say address the threats and address the weaknesses, and how to work with the strength and what are the opportunities. Then to suggest and prepare action plan for implementing the policies, to conduct midterm feedback and evaluation studies on implementation of the policies, and to evaluate education and other policies also. The policies should be evaluated by conducting a study, that may be a research for planning and policies and research for the proper implementation of any scheme. Then aim of research and policy analysis and planning, I may focus few aspects, just like the aim is to understand why there is the need for particular education policy, then discuss the aspect and stakeholders to be included in the policy, discuss basic provisions included in the educational policy, then to understand the implementation strategies of education policy and its planning, and understand reasons for the success or failure of the educational policy. Now let me to focus upon some of the practice question, and I think that you are at this moment to answer this question, just like justify the need and relevance of education as a key area of framing public policies, explain the issues and challenges of implementation of educational policies in India, and understand the need of feedback and researches for public analysis and planning. So friends, just to recapitulate, today in this lesson we have discussed about the educational policies and how to implement the educational policies, and how education work as a key role so far as public policies are concerned. We have discussed, taking the example of Right to Education Act, that how to involve the stakeholders, and why there is the need to conduct a research, and what is the need and relevance of you can say doing the research so far as a proper implementation of a scheme is concerned. And in our next session we will be discussing other aspect of education and policies. Thank you.